So good evening, everybody. Welcome to Shiatsu Society. Does the seasons. So we're going to go into screen share and just begin the presentation. So you all know me pretty much, Shiatsu Cooking and Chi Flow with Joe. So understanding what I do is understand your body with the 5 elements of Chinese medicine. Now, I've made this to share so that we can put it on the Shiatsu Society YouTube, and it just might be of interest for lots of people. So you know who I am. I've written these 2 books that are all about the 5 element system of Chinese medicine. And how I do that, we do that with Shiatsu massage, 5 element food medicine, Qigong, and emotional strategies to work with the mind and the body, meditation and mantra. So there you go. There's the Shiatsu massage and the Chi Flow with Joe, which is Qigong. So in the 5 elements and the 5 element system, and this is a diagram from my Good Food book, you can see that each of the organs is paired together. So we have the lungs here that's paired with the large intestine. We have the kidneys here and here, which are paired with the bladder. And each of these organs has a season, a color, a flavor, a sensory organ, a body part, an emotion, and a time of day, and even more. You know, I've just been teaching the 5 animals, the 5 animal frolics. So it also comes with an animal for the season. And at the moment, we are in the season of late summer. So I thought I'd give a kind of overview of the 5 element system of late summer, what to eat, how to treat the body, and how to move in late summer. So late summer, if we go back here, we can see here we have late summer is linked to the earth element, the flavor is sweet, and the organs, which are orange, are the spleen. Now in Chinese medicine, the spleen is the spleen, duodenum, and pancreas. It serves that function, and it's linked together with the stomach, which is just behind the gallbladder here. So you can see the stomach and the spleen, pancreas and duodenum, which then feeds into the small intestine. Now, the function of the spleen and stomach in Western medicine is one of its major functions is to balance blood sugar. It's to manage insulin, and the insulin regulates the blood sugar. So when we have a huge spike, insulin is produced to lower the blood sugars. So diabetes 1 is when there's no insulin being produced by the body, and that is usually a congenital problem. Or diabetes 2, which means that the body becomes insulin resistant, which means that the insulin being produced doesn't reduce the blood sugar. So this can really be reversed with diet and using Shiatsu and Qigong to really reverse and help the spleen heal. The stomach and spleen also produces ghrelin, which is a hormone that tells us when we're full, when we're satisfied, when we've had enough. And these are the organs that are linked with this time of year, which is late summer. And in Chinese medicine, the spleen also makes blood. It produces the blood in the body, and that energy rises upwards to the lungs and helps the lung produce the wei qi, the body of energy that surrounds the body, almost like a ready brek glow in our defensive immune system. So the spleen also plays a part in the immune system in Chinese medicine. So the stomach and the spleen are really harmonizing organs. The stomach qi descends down and the spleen qi rises upwards. So you get this kind of harmonizing in the middle. So some of the problems with stomach qi, when stomach qi is out of balance, is you'll have reflux, you'll have this stomach energy rising. And when the spleen energy is out of balance, if you wouldn't mind muting yourself, that would be brilliant. When the spleen energy is out of balance, it means that things can actually kind of fall down. So you might end up with prolapse, hemorrhoids, varicose veins. Things are not being held up in the body. So we can think of it as this kind of like harmonizing time. Often in Chinese medicine, also in Shiatsu, when we're treating the body, we might actually want to look at always treating the stomach and spleen in some kind of way, because it is that pivot point in the year when the energies are beginning. They're not quite turned inwards and downwards, which is the autumn and the winter, and they're not rising upwards, which is liver and summer. We have this harmonizing stomach and spleen, which is both ascending and descending. So really perfectly harmonizing for the body. Out of balance, we can really crave the sugary sweet food, because in Chinese medicine, then the stomach and the spleen would have a flavor to go with it, and the flavor is sweet. I'm going to talk more about that in the next slides. But just to have out of balance, craving sugary sweet foods, which obviously will increase if we give in to those cravings and eat a lot of fizzy drinks, chocolates, a lot of white breads, cakes, biscuits. They will really wreak havoc with our blood sugars. So that craving from sugary foods often tells us the stomach and the spleen is out of balance. Nothing wrong with cravings, just kind of how do we satisfy them? How do we work with the body? How do we listen to the body? Because if you've got a best friend and you meet them for coffee, what do you ask first? You ask, how are you? How are you feeling? And so really we invite, as Shiatsu practitioners, we invite our clients to ask themselves, how are they feeling? What is it they would like from the treatment? That connection with the body, that listening to the body is really quite satisfying. So instead of always kind of craving and going for that sweet stuff, actually listening and responding from that openness and space will also benefit the stomach and spleen. And I will talk about that in the latest slide. But these are some of the symptoms that will show you that the stomach and the spleen needs treating. So craving sweet and sugary foods, poor flesh tone. So if you see people that really their flesh is just hanging off the bones, and I don't mean that they're not muscle builders, but when the flesh tone is upkept, it's really kind of juicy and vibrant. So if you have poor flesh tone, weak flesh, this would tell me that the stomach and spleen is out of balance. Foggy headed, difficulty waking up, worry and overthinking are also the symptoms of the spleen out of balance. Varicose veins, hernias, hemorrhoids, everything falling down, not being kept held in the body is a sign of stomach and spleen weakness. Acid reflux, when everything is coming up. Also bloating, nausea, diarrhea. Diarrhea, especially, you'll find that if the stomach and spleen is weak, then everything is just passing instantly through. And this can really happen quite a lot in the morning. And often when clients come to me and they've got diarrhea, I will ask them, what are you eating for breakfast? Are you having a cold breakfast? Because cold foods really don't suit the spleen. The spleen is the time of, well, I'm going to get to it in the slides. I'm itching ahead. But really, the spleen likes cooked, sweet food, and the more you can cook and slow cook food, the sweeter it becomes. And so even having cooked food for breakfast means that it's going to support the stomach and spleen, and you're not going to have problems with diarrhea. And anemia, because the spleen is involved in making blood, if you find that a client has anemia or poor blood quality and you want to build the blood, then going for the stomach and spleen. So here we have the stomach and the spleen. Again, this is my infographic from the book, Good Food Book. And you can see here that the sweet food is late summer. It's the earth element. So here we have the earth, and you can see this kind of orange color. I mean, that just says to you earth. I mean, red, green, blue, black, none of those are earth colors, but the element for the stomach and spleen is earth. And so think of the colors of the earth. It's kind of like a warm, sweet, orange brown soil. beautiful. And I mean, I don't know about you, but Smarties, whenever I see a pack of Smarties, I always think that the orange Smarties are sweeter than all of the rest of them. We're often drawn to very orange food, as it tells, our eyes tell us that that is going to be something sweet. And this earth element is often symbolized as the mother. And we have, in most cultures, they will have some kind of festival that celebrates the earth as a mother. And we give great thanks in this kind of time of Lunasa, which is the harvest festival, for really giving us the bounty. And if you've seen kind of old church fates with harvest festival, you have sheaves of wheat, you have beans, you have pumpkins and squashes. All of these things are coming to fruition now. We have all the berries, we have the blackberries, the raspberries, the hawthorns. All of these fruits are coming into season because we've had the time of summer, which is the flowers, when the bees move around and they pollinate. And now they've been pollinated. They've had all that glorious sunshine. The earth has fed them and they give us their sweet bounty. So it's symbolized as a mother. And I often quite do this because it's like a hug. So this Mother Earth. And this also means uptake, that support and nourishment. A good word to remember for the stomach and spleen is uptake. You can be eating as many healthy foods, but unless you're actually receiving them and giving great gratitude for those gifts, you often won't actually absorb, and there's no better word than receive. Make them into yours, you know, transform and transport these nourishment around the body. So it's not just about what food we eat, it's about how we eat it, our state of mind, how we're thinking. Do we give grace over the food? Do we look at our food and give great thanks? What is it that we give thanks for in the day? Any way of giving thanks, and especially to do with the earth, is going to support the stomach and the spleen. Even if you say a thank you now, see if you can feel your stomach just relaxing and your ability to receive increasing. The season, as I said, is late summer. It's the harvest festival of giving thanks to the earth, often sheaves of wheat. And this is also the time where we get like way too much of stuff, even like we get way too many plums and nectarines and damsons and tomatoes. So what do we make with those? We usually make jams, chutneys. We make quite sweet things from this abundance from the earth. And it's really, that really feeds the spleen in not in huge amounts. We don't want to overdo. Everything is in balance. Everything, just like the yin and yang, everything is in balance and nothing is ever finished. We are never finished. So we're always finding our balance. Did I eat too much jam? Did I gorge myself on blackberries? And then we come back to balance. So the time of mellow fruitfulness, when Mother Nature ripens and sweetens the berries, and you get lots of plums, apples, pears, and these berries and cherries and all those deep red fruits, they don't actually stimulate your blood sugar levels. They have a special sugar in it called xylitol, and xylitol does not make your blood sugars spike. It really helps with the blood sugar. So you can eat plenty of raspberries and blackberries and hawthorns without making your blood sugar spike. Obviously, when we turn them into jams and chutneys and we use lots of pectin and sugars to make them set, then that slightly changes the effect it can have on our body. But just to remember all those wonderful mellow fruitfulness, and this is this time of year to be grateful for that. The 5 elements will always give us the directions in treating the clients. So another way of managing blood sugars, if you have somebody who's coming to you who does tend to crave sweet foods, Some of the other things to recommend for them are the orange-brown colored foods, which would be butternut squash, carrots, sweet potatoes, the little red lentils, the chickpeas. Chickpeas especially are very good as they're great for draining dampness. If we overdo the sugar and the stomach and spleen become weak, our body can become very damp and we can get stiff and achy joints. That's another symptom. So chickpeas are brilliant for draining damp. One of my favorite things to do at the moment is kind of fry them up with kale and some lovely spices, maybe even adding in some other lentils and frying them all together very lightly. And it's fantastic for the stomach and spleen because also you have to chew, and I'll get to that. Chinese red dates. These are fantastic if you have a client who has anemia. They are not quite, let me see, did I write it? No. They are not quite like palm dates. They look like a Chinese lantern, and quite often they're given at Chinese New Year as a symbol of longevity and health. You can buy them in the Chinese supermarkets. Sometimes they're called jujubes, and they're a little bit like a massive goji berry. The packets often say de-seeded, but I'm telling you, don't just throw these in your smoothie liquidizer because there's quite often a little stone in them. I suppose I could equate them to, yeah, like I said, to goji berries. You can put them in porridge, and they come dried, so you want to rehydrate them, and they're packed full of iron and vitamin C. Now, even though they're red and they benefit the heart, actually they're really good if you've had anybody who is postpartum, who's had a baby. Quite a lot of the time when clients have had babies or they've got small children, they're giving. And that's what the mother does. It gives. But as a human being, if we're not actually receiving as well, then that imbalance can actually really drain the body and cause problems with the stomach and spleen, meaning that the young mother can become anemic and also perhaps have gestational diabetes. Did you know that, I think it's something like, I forget the figures, but if you are pregnant, you're way more likely to develop gestational diabetes because there's so much pressure on the spleen to create more blood while you're pregnant. So very good to make sure that you are feeding the stomach and the spleen with all of the right foods during and postpartum. So Chinese red dates are a fantastic gift to take to a young mum. And you can have a look on my website on the blog page. And if you go to the recipe blog, there's a great recipe there for pear and Chinese red date soup. No, tea. Chinese and red date tea with cinnamon, because that's the other thing that the spleen likes, is it likes cinnamon and vanilla. Both of those are very sweet in its flavor. And actually having a teaspoon of cinnamon every morning really helps to regulate the blood sugar. Now, you can't go off and have a chocolate cake thinking, oh, well, I've had a teaspoon of vanilla, so I'll just go and have a whole chocolate cake. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to still keep everything regulated and in balance. But if you are trying to improve your diet, and perhaps you have diabetes too, then these are some definite steps you can take to improve the health of your stomach and spleen. The emotion for the stomach and spleen, because in Chinese medicine, as you know, we view the body as a whole. We can't take out the emotional body from the physical body. We need to actually see what's going on with the person, because how you think affects your body, and how your body feels affects how you're thinking. So these are intertwined. So some of the thoughts that can go on when you've got an impacted stomach and spleen is worry, is overthinking, and is like grasping. It's addictions. I need that. I need to figure this out. I need to work that out. I need to fix everything. And it's that overthinking, a chewing over of ideas, going over and over and over. But actually, if we can actually allow some space is another. How often do we actually allow our bodies to get hungry? Hunger really activates quite a primal fear in the body. So if we can just allow ourselves to be hungry, if we're trying to lose weight, or if we're trying to work with diabetes too, just allow the space, allow the thoughts, allow the grasping after the food, allow the wanting of a chocolate bar. Just let it pass, let it move through. Some of the things you can do, oh, that's another slide coming up. I've got a little tip for helping, a physical aid for helping reduce worry. But I had a teacher once who said that really the stomach and spleen is like the ultimate womb time. It's when we really revert back to being cared for by the mother. And so you'll see that, I want to get this one, this one. So you'll see that the sensory organ for the stomach and the spleen is the mouth. So we suck our thumbs to soothe ourselves. Often, if a baby is really crying or tantruming, quite often people will give food to self-soothe. And it's a lesson that we're taught very early on, that food will soothe us. Whereas actually it can cause more problems in the long term for our physical health. So learn, like I said, thinking of the baby sucking, receiving nourishment and comfort. And addictions can be very similar to that. Think of smoking, eating, drinking, kissing, all unhealthy self-soothers if done to the extreme. So what can you do? A licorice stick or pieces of fruit, oatcakes, nuts, carrot sticks, anything that encourages chewing. That chewing actually increases saliva in the mouth, and the saliva helps the hormone ghrelin, and it helps to digest the food, activating the ghrelin and telling us that we're full, telling us that we're satisfied, telling us that we have enough. Because that's quite a primal fear. It's feeling that we're not enough, that there isn't enough. And so all of these kind of emotions and feelings, their root cause can be treating the stomach and spleen, can really help to access some of these emotions. Making sure that you've got a bag of snacks so that you don't get caught out and eat lots of junk food. Because once you get on that circular spiral of overeating refined sugar, it can be quite tricky to get off. So making sure you've got carrot sticks, licorice sticks. And the licorice sticks is like a root. You buy it from the health stop and you chew it. It's not like you're buying pure licorice. You're buying the actual root. So I'm going to go backwards and find where we were. Yeah, so this ultimate womb time, when we feel that everything is just okay, we've got plenty of space, nothing to do, no deadlines to meet, no shopping to get. Are we comfortable in that space, in that ultimate womb time? Are we able to be held by Mother Earth without feeling that we have to do something or we have to be somewhere? So this is all related to this time of year. Are we able to hold that stillness before we turn and go into the autumn? So like I said, the taste for the stomach and the spleen is sweet. You can see how the spleen managing blood sugars would relate to that in Western medicine, but also in Eastern medicine, in that 5 elements diagram that I show you and I talk about in my books. The other thing is whole grains, and you need to chew the whole grains. That chewing action slows down the eating, meaning that we can take up the nutrients, we can actually receive them, and we can feel satisfied. So brown rice, bulgur wheat, millet, quinoa, buckwheat, and you can see that these still link in with the color. These are all kind of like a deep brown orange color linking with the earth element. The body part is the flesh. So the stomach and spleen loves hugs. It loves being touched. It loves having shiatsu. It loves massage. So it also loves physical exercise. So getting out. I watched a study that was done with 3 types of people. 1, runners, 2, people working on building sites, and 3, people working at a desk job. All 3 of them had chocolate cake. And all 3 of them had big blood spikes. But the quickest ones to come down were the runners. The next were the construction workers and the sedentary people working at a desk. Their blood sugar went up and it came down. It took a long time for it to come down. And when it did, it even dropped lower. It took a long time to come back into balance. So exercise is really important for the stomach and the spleen. We did the mouth already, that sucking, that mother, that hug. And this is a page from my book, Good Food, telling you, listing all the sweet foods that you can get. Pumpkin, butternut, squash, fennel is another fantastic, aniseed, licorice. So let's have a look at actually doing some bear moves. So the bear in Chinese medicine, in Qigong, we have 5 animal frolics. And the 5 animals link with the different organs. So for example, we have the deer, which is kidney and bladder. We have the crane, which is lung and large intestine. We have the tiger, which is all about the ligaments and the sinews, the liver and the gallbladder. And am I missing another one? The monkey is the heart and the small intestine. But the bear is what we're going to do this evening, the bear. So if you even think about the bear, what does it tell you? It really tells you about the earth. Like if you compare the bear to the crane, it doesn't have that same kind of feeling about it. The bear is very heavy, it's rooted. You can see here the color. I've linked this all into your 5 elements, and it very much eats from the earth. I know that there's kind of like lots of horror films with bears chasing humans, but really predominantly the bear's diet is from the earth. It's the berries, it's the nuts, it's the seeds, and some fish. But predominantly it is the roots and the sweetness. And you can kind of feel that as kind of like a teddy bear. We've got that kind of idea of being hugged when we think of the bear. So are you ready to stand up and practice with me? So you can see the bear, we're going to perform it very slowly, but with strength. There's heaviness to the bear's movement. The internal qualities of steadiness and intelligence, they remain evident. So we're not just going to be like a zombie, walking around. It's really very intelligent, very cognizant, very solid and stable animal. The key movements, what we want to do is really focus on the belly and the harmonizing around the waist. So think of the rotation coming from the waist and the rest of the body will follow. So I'm going to stop the share now, come back to the screen. We will come back to the share in a minute. And I am going to do some Qigong. So are you ready to follow me? So I'm going to take out my headphones. Okay. So should all be ready to hear me now. Mary, if you could just turn off your mic, otherwise you're going to be leading the Qigong. So this is the bear paw. No, Mary, you're leading the Qigong. There you go. You've gone again. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mute everybody now. Okay, so you're all muted. Okay. So the bear has got paws, the bear paws. Okay, so all the different animals have different hand movements. We have the deer, we have the monkey, and we're going to do the bear. So the bear paw, sometimes I like to tuck my thumb behind there, but also it can be a nice open, rounded thing. So we're finding our bear paws. So there's your bear paws. And we're going to start underneath the ribs at the side. And we're going to come up and around, up and around, but we're not going to just move the hands. Really what we're doing is finding our center, which is kind of like, you know, your midline and your midline here, and the movement from the bear is really going to come from here. So give a little bit of a knock and a tap just below the belly button, and we're going to just tap on the kidneys as well. rub in the kidneys, sweep them over the waist and bring it down to the lower dantian. Dantian is just energy center. We have a lower, a middle, and an upper. So this lower dantian, this is where all the movements are going to come from. So just watch for a second. I'm going to come up and I'm going to go around. But as I do that, can you see that I'm moving my waist in a circle? And then we're going to, so give that a go. Pop your bare paws to the side of your ribs, come up, around, and circle, circle, circle. Now you could see how this is really giving the internal organs a massage. This is great to recommend to clients who struggle with bloated digestion. And come over to the other side of the ribs. And now we're going to change direction. We're going to come up and we're going to come around. So let the movement really come from the belly. Improving digestion. Think of the bear. Think of the sweet, cuddly, honey-eating bear. This is your stomach and spleen energy. Okay, so that's bear one. Now in the 5 frolics, each of the animals has 2 moves. So I'm going to demonstrate the bear, the second bear move, and then I'm going to break it down and you can practice with me. So if we break that down, what we're going to do is I want you to just feel like a bear and shift your weight from side to side. Really like a bear, stepping very heavily. And then you're going to take one foot and one arm and you're going to land. And that bear paw is forwards and the other one is back. You're going to look at your back bear paw and then rotating from the waist. Look at the other bear paw and bear paw. Rotate from the waist. Let the movement come from the waist, moving up to the shoulders. And then step it back. Feeling your bear, feeling your bear. Okay, you ready for the other side? Step out, same hands, same foot. Look back at the paw. Twist from the waist. Look back at the paw. Back at the paw. Back at the paw. Move from the waist and let that move out to your shoulders. And come back to center. Stepping heavy like a bear. Let's do it again. The other side. Step out, drop. Look at that bear paw. And look back. Move from the belly. Move from that mid-horizontal line. Drop the shoulders. Let the movement come from the lower belly. And step back. Heavy like a bear. And to the other side. Rotate from the belly. Rotate from the belly. Let it swing. Feel the real groundedness of this movement. Come back to center. Now we're going to do it one more time, and we're going to do 3 swipes of the bear arm. So stepping forwards, looking behind, 2, 3, step back to center, 1, 2, 3, step out, 2, 3, back to center. And the other side, step out, 2, 3, back to center. And the other side. Back to center. Now, if you think you have that, that's the bear. We could try walking backwards and forwards, but normally I would teach this over a few days. So let's just try the forwards and backwards move. So feeling like a bear, feeling like a bear. Have you got space in your space? Let's make some space. Let's walk forwards and step, 2, 3, bring it up, step, 2, 3, bring it up, step, 2, 3, 2, 3, move it back, 2, 3, move it back like a bear, step, 2, 3, and back to center. How's that going? Let's do one more bear walk. We'll feel your bear, but get your bear paws on and step forwards, step, looking behind you, and again, up, step, 2, 3, step, 2, 3, up, 2, 3. Now backwards, step, 2, 3, 2, 3, coming from the waist. You're a heavy bear, cuddly heavy bear. And back to center. Just check in how you're feeling. Breathe it in, sweep the arms up. Uncoil, imagine uncoiling right to the tips of the fingers. And now bring it down. As if you're pushing down on a spring. Bringing all the energy down, down, down. Down to that lower dantian. Just place your hands just below the belly button. And feel your sweet, cuddly teddy bear. Feel that beautiful, sweet teddy bear. Now, just enjoy where you're at. And I couldn't do a talk without doing an absolutely amazing spleen point for us all. So a really great point is the great embrace. It's the end of the spleen channel coming up underneath the armpit. And that really says it all, this great embrace, spleen 21. So let's do that. And when we do that, I like to do a kind of mantra and affirmation with it. Where I am is where I'm meant to be. And where I'm meant to be, no, I've changed it actually. Where I am is where I'm meant to be. And where I am meant to be is where I am. Where I am is where I'm meant to be, and where I'm meant to be is where I am. So what I want you to do is fold your arms and your armpit. I know I'm talking to Shiatsu practitioners, so I know you know where it all is, but just in case somebody finds this on YouTube, let's show them where it is. So cross your arms, and that's why it's the great embrace. And where the middle finger falls, touches the ribs, rub firmly and press for 30 seconds. It's roughly on line with the nipples, but maybe the nipples have changed where they were, where they should be, where they could be. So just finding that point, and with the other hand, just give yourself a great rock and a great hug. Comforting your own inner child and giving great thanks for this time of year. Let's do the other side. So hugging underneath, put your palm underneath where your middle finger falls. Let's just massage and press into here. The other aspect that this does is it loosens all through the chest, helps blood flow come back to the intercostal muscles, loosens and helps the breathing. And in that way, that shows you how the spleen is supporting the lung to create our wonderful defensive chi, our wei chi, as we move from late summer into autumn, which would be our next Shiatsu get together. So, as I said, this point relaxes the chest and allows energy to pass downwards from the shoulders and the lungs, bringing a feeling of centered ease to the body. It'll support the energy if the joints are flabby, whilst at the same time disperse the energy if there's pain. Press these points and accept what is in you and accept the present moment. Be the center of your own amazing orbiting universe, ever changing, ever flowing, ever creating. So your key takeaways: be your own best mother. How can you best support yourself? What do you most need now? That requires some self-reflection, some self-examination. Use the 5 elements to interpret what your body is telling you. And obviously you practice with my book and my 2 books about the 5 elements. And chew your food. Make sure you take time. Make sure you take space for your food. You're not bolting it down and then looking around and going, where's that chocolate biscuit? Did I eat it? I don't remember eating that chocolate biscuit. Someone else ate it. No, give time and give space for your food. And get out in nature, get out in the earth, put your feet in the ground. Spleen 1, the spleen, as I know that you all know, is at the corner of the big toe. And that is what connects you to the ground. That is what grounds you. So get out, receive the support, and make a gratitude journal. So you want to know, stay connected. You can visit my website, receive the newsletter. You can buy the book bundle for only €30. And you can join me every weekday morning. I know quite a few of you from the Shiatsu Society are already members of Chi Flow with Joe. So if you want to do Qigong every morning and start your day right, you can do that with me. So time for Q&A. So I will stop the share. And we will come back for Q&A. All right, that I've put it that you can unmute yourself. Let's have a look at everybody. There. Lynn had to leave. No worries, you can catch up on the recording. Any questions? Hey, Patricia.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question. I just unmuted. I wondered actually just something that I saw yesterday. Have you anything to say on purine in food?
Purine?
Yeah, I think it's P-O-U-R-I-N-E. Is that how it's pronounced? I just wondered if you come across it.
No, I don't think I have. You want to say any more about it?
Only became aware of it where, you know, basically we think we have good food and then suddenly you see that it seems to interfere with joints and gout and stuff like that. You know, strange food. I was looking up tables of it last night. And
I think the problem, though, is that people think that food is the problem, and they also think that food is the answer. Food is generally never the problem, and it's never the answer. It's only a way into the body. Our body is always able to manage all sorts of different toxins, all sorts of different stuff. all sorts of different emotions, of trauma, we are really resilient at finding a balance, and the body will find a way to take the nutrients if we keep on having that connection and interaction with how we're feeling, what is going on with the body, and also that element of intuition as well. I'm not saying obviously go and eat a whole load of poison in the body. If you are just saying lots of mantra, the body will get over it. But it's, you know, I meet, and obviously because I work with food, a lot of people come to me thinking that they're going to find their answer from me with food. And it's not always that simple. I should, you know, oh, well, I should not eat, I don't know, what's in vogue at the moment. You know, things come in and out of fashion. Don't eat eggs. Eat eggs. Only eat 2 eggs. Eat 6 eggs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always lots of different, and you know, our body is a garden. And if we treat it like a garden, that we're just kind of nourishing it, but like a gardener, we can't just do things that it says on the packet. We actually have to respond to how our garden is, where things are in the sun or where things are in the shade. Is our soil clay and sticky, or is it dry and undernourished? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So I don't know about that specific additive. I mean, basically, the tenet from Chinese medicine is, if it doesn't rot and it doesn't ripen, it's not food, don't eat it.
I like that.
Yeah. If it doesn't rot and doesn't ripen, don't eat it. I mean, I expect I was saying quite a lot of stuff that you already all knew there anyway. There's nothing really, but just to have a bit of reflection at this time of year and maybe put things together.
That was very nice. Very good.
In a way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions or feedback, how they found the bear? How is that? I mean, it's quite a tricky move to pick up in 10 minutes, but I hope you got that kind of feeling of a bear.
It's very good. Yeah, very good.
It was so much needed in my case, because I did the gardening for the most of the day today, like lots of bending and squatting. I did yoga this morning, but it was all destroyed by gardening then. So I did spinal with the side stretches. It was like, oh my God. Like I really felt the pulling on the backs because of this squatting whole day. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. It's lovely, isn't it? Because that kind of move just opens up the spleen, opens up the liver, opens the spleen, opens the liver. Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah,
lovely.
For food, for supporting the spleen, like I recently have so many clients with bloating, with diarrhea, and so my first question is always like, what kind of food do you eat? Do you eat a lot of raw and cold? And the answer is like 100% always yes. I eat a lot of salads and mostly cold food. Even my coffee is cold. So it's like, oh yeah. So you have your answer, like, and then this foggy mind and everything. So it's like, so yeah, it makes sense, definitely.
And that's what I mean about that kind of like, you know, that was it. There was a big, massive crave for raw food a while ago, you know, and everybody was having kind of like smoothies for breakfast. And I was having clients
in California, because like they are obsessed about being super slim and, you know, skinny, and the raw food, like vegan raw diet came from California, I think, from the Hollywood. Exactly.
Yeah, and then we have to look at our climate and our, you know, how does it fit? It's kind of like bananas. Everybody thinks bananas are a great food. And then I have people coming to me and I say, well, okay, so what's your diet? And they'll be like, oh, I have like 3 bananas a day, or, you know, and I'm like, well, bananas don't come from Ireland. They cause a lot of kind of damp stickiness in the body. And they're like, wow, I thought bananas were really healthy, and they kind of are, but you have to there's no one thing that is healthy. Raw might be great in California because it's really hot, so you want cooling down. But
Dry.
here, and here we need that warm food, especially, people coming to me who are starting their day with smoothies. I would say take them when the spleen energy is kind of the highest, take them kind of like more kind of mid-afternoon, and start your day with kind of like, I had one Swedish client who ate the other way. Like she would have like dal in the morning for breakfast, and she would have like her dinner for breakfast, and then it would get kind of less and less, and she would have kind of like something kind of like fruit and yogurt and muesli for dinner. Yeah. Okay, well, it's been an hour, so I figure unless anybody's got lots of questions, you know what I'll do anyway.